Ready. All right. America, I've given you all and now I'm nothing. When will we end the human war? When will you be worthy of your million Trotskyites? I am addressing you. I am America. I'm talking to myself again. Because I find inspiration in the words of the great poetic voice Allen Ginsberg, I will affirm today's resolution. Observation 1 is, wait, what? It should seem paradoxical that I would invoke the voice of a dissident American to affirm American exceptionalism, and it is. This false LD topic is unfair at best and ethically disgusting on the weekends, or so I've heard. Subpoint A is debate jargon for this is unfair. This topic requires the affirmative debater to defend an overly narrow ideology in the face of infinite negative ground, and that's bad. Subpoint B is, the other thing that matters more. As teachers and students that live in the most multicultural state in America with 3 Ks, it is flat out gross to ask us to defend the primacy of one people or way of life against all others. Debate is not just about thought, but also ethical agency and contemplativeness. Don't worry about me, though, because this game has always been rigged, and that's why observation 2 is professional wrestling or American politics. Pick whichever you find more offensive. And subpoint A is why I roll my eyes every time an LDer starts by quoting MLK and then talks about John Locke. Traditional LD debate is premised upon the notion that competing values can be sorted into a hierarchy of good, better, best. That's bad, and it asks the deeper questions of ontology we should be asking. Jeffrey Popke, a pompous academic, explains, any project aimed at defining unethics or a normative theory of society would be doomed to failure. Universal claims to knowledge and truth can become a barrier to fostering sensitivity to different. We should take a position against ethics in the sense of a model of moral or ethical actions, and instead work to foster an ethics of encounter without any commitment to resolution or closure. And subpoint B is burn the map and yell. Specifically, this topic with its notions of a fixed America and unified actions of policy toward negated foreigners forces us to inscribe our rhetoric with the subtle ideology of borders. Nigel Thrift, who has quite possibly the most English-sounding name ever, explains. Geopolitical forces are lurking in the little details of utterances and have immediate consequences. National identity and accompanying geopolitical stance are ascribed to the smallest details by little words. Our everyday discourse, with deep, often unconscious aggression would lurk behind so much geopolitical reasoning, which through small details build a sense of us, not like them. And subpoint C is subpoint B returns. This time it's personal. An academic whose name my Eurocentric tongue struggles with explains the political abuse of the image of home as a sheltered and safe place, true plot, exclusionary, territory lands, xenophobic, pre-modern, patriarchal cult of home, a safe home for legal residents based on the exclusionary politics of home, boundaries of both racism. Observation 3 is why we fight. Subpoint A is I and he is me, and we are all together. The topic should give all of us pause to reconsider the game we play, how we play, and most importantly, why. Debate in and of itself is premised upon the ontological assumption of the primacy of America and the American way of life, as explained by Spanos, a great critical thinker misused by awful critique debaters. Debate in the high schools of this country is assumed to take place nowhere, even though the issues are debated are fairly historical. In the debate world, it doesn't matter which position you take on an issue. The world we live in is entirely dominated by an exceptionalist America, which is perennially claimed has been chosen by God or history to fulfill his or its errand in the wilderness. And subpoint B is get up, stand up. Spanos continues to later explain how such a problematic debate culture should be dealt with. Those in the debate world should call into question the traditional objective debate in favor of a concept of debate and of language in which life and death matter. Judges putting out planners, State Department officials, etc. learn their disinterested argumentative skills in the high school debate game. A revolution in the debate world must occur. And subpoint C is what you do with that dead tree. This is why I said, playing make-believe, we should view the ballot as what it is, a mere piece of paper that merely shows a contingent affiliation of the judges with one set of ideas and discursive practices with one specific competitive round. If my opponent actually gives a cogent argument to the contrary, I'll disprove him in the 1 AR. Observation 4 is una puerta over troubled waters. In order to give us a way to contemplate what we are, what America is, and what debate ought to be, and most importantly, why we've never asked these questions before, I call on all of you to look to the borderlands, the rhetorical space where us and them, same and other meet, a place where difference defines fixed location and negates affiliation. La Frontera is a place described by the great Chicano writer, was written in poetry as, to live in the borderlands means you're neither Hispania, India, Negra, Española, Negabache, Eres, Mestizo, Mulana. In camps, not knowing which side you turn to or run from. In the borderlands, you're the battleground where enemies are kin to each other. You are at home but a stranger. To survive the borderlands, you must live sin frontera and be a crossroad road. Thus, I affirm in the borderlands. Resolve U.S. foreign policy ought to be guided by American exceptionalism, and such an affirmation of the shared thought we all take part in both our daily lives and this activity in a place defined by contradiction is key to crossing the river that divides us from them, affirmative from negative, and foreigner from native. As also do explain in her voice, calling for La Frontera, the work of the Steve's economy consciousness is to break down the subject of duality and to show her work how duality is transcended. The answer to the problem between white and colored, between males and females, lies and healing and split, that originates from the very foundation of our lives, our culture, our languages, our thoughts. A massive uprooting of dualistic thinking in the individual and collective consciousness is the beginning of a long struggle, when it could bring us to the end of war. Lama Spiza has gone from being the sacrificial goat to becoming the officiating priestess at the crossroads. I have no country. My homeland casts me out, yet all countries are mine. I am all races. I am cultureless. I challenge the collective cultural beliefs, yet I am participating in the creation of yet another culture. In our very flesh, revolution acts out the clash of cultures. So, don't kid yourself. You are affirming American exceptionalism before you ever step foot in this room. By being here and listening to this debate round, you are right now, both unconsciously and probably consciously, affirming this topic. This round isn't a question of what you do with your ballot because you're going to vote affirmative. It's how you vote affirmative and why and what questions you ask yourself that matters most. Set the ontological map of the West on fire and let's all go wander the borderlands with Gloria Anzalduwa. Hey, Kyle, vote for cross-sex.
I do have a question not really related to today's debate, but Jesus. Win, lose, or, in the unlikely event of a tie, we accept my challenge to debate again at Princeton High School on January 8th, I believe.
Get on.
All right.
Ready?
Yes,
You're on.
You are affirming the resolution in the borderlands, correct?
Yes.
Could you please define for us American exceptionalism?
Yeah, I'm going to use the definition that Spanos uses in my first piece of evidence on observation 3. And he says that American exceptionalism is the belief that America was chosen by God or history to fulfill some sort of like special goal.
Is he specific on any type of God or just generic?
Generally speaking, like, yeah, like whatever sort of deistic or like atheistic force that somehow America's awesome, we can do whatever we want because we're great.
For those of us from small school debate, did you provide a value or a criteria?
I think you went to a 3A school, dude. I went to a 2A school, but no, I didn't provide a value or criteria.
Thank you, sir. For those of us who are a little confused, could you please explain the concept of the borderlands?
Okay, right. The borderlands is a rhetorical space described by the writer Gloria Anzalduwa. Anzalduwa was writing about her experiences as a woman of mixed ancestry on the borders of Texas specifically, and she talked about how she was rejected by both Hispanic and Anglo-American communities, and how the whole problem with racism and with conflict is based on dualistic ontologies. Ontology being the study of being. So when we have to understand what we are as being defined by what we ain't, that's bad. She talked about the borderlands as a place of thought where you understand that existing between the two is an ontological category in rejecting dualism. I know that was clear as mud.
Why can we conclude, if you are true, that by being in this room we are indeed affirming today's resolution?
Right. So debating in itself, according to both pieces of my Spanos evidence, is premised upon the notion of an exceptionalist America. I mean, literally, we are talking about what America should do right now. In policy debate, that's all we do. Most Lincoln-Doublas topics are about America. And even when they're not about America, we always come back to John Locke and stuff like that. Debate is premised upon American exceptionalism.
Why did you choose not to present a standard value or criteria?
Yeah, I'll argue that my Popke evidence shows that whenever we try to talk about best ethic, best values or better values, that taxonomizing or ranking of values in and of itself is bad. We should instead take an open stance with regards to ethics and values and embrace what Popke calls an ethics encounter.
But when faced with a choice,
okay,
how do we make that choice unless we rank something higher than another choice?
Right. I'll argue that my affirmation in the borderlands outranks your negation. But if you're saying I don't think we have to have a value to do that. My argument would be that we present competing arguments that clash. We don't have to have values and criterion to do that.
I have no further questions.
Right,
Thank you very much.
Would you like prep?
I would like to take a few minutes of my prep time.
Cool. Talk amongst yourselves. Can we want to do that?
That's fine, man. Cool. Talk amongst yourselves.
No, it's Spanish. all that?
Yeah.
And then he's like, that was like a whole sub point was one breath.
Then he'd be like,